morning, good morning, good morning. Come on in. Just going to do a couple technical things here before we get started. I'm going to share this on my page. January 7th, 2021. Hello, Michelle. Hi, welcome. Just going to give a moment here to share this just on my page. I don't need to share it to all these different groups, but if you feel guided to share, do share. The music you're listening to, if you can hear in the backdrop, is it is the Moses Code by James Twyman. Share via... Maybe I can't share it to my page. What's going on? Come on in and grab a seat. 40 Days of Prosperity, Day 7, which when these 11:11 broadcasts are a little bit more than just the affirmation. I'm kind of letting Spirit speak as what is on the heart. And our heart is heavy here in the United States, for those that are not here, on Turtle Island as we like to call it. But I'm not going to talk about politics per se and all that. I'm just going to offer some perspective and invitation. So before I go in, I do want to get my health on. This is CBD called immunity. It's backwards to you, but immunity. Can you hear me okay? I got CBD under my tongue. Just taking a deep breath here with you, whoever's choosing to be here now or another now. Just came out of a nice prayer time with my beloved, who will join us another time, but today this is something that Great Spirit put on my heart to begin the year with 40 Days of Prosperity. That in the beginning of 2020, I began this very practice. The 40 Days of Prosperity, this is from John Randolph Price, who wrote a book called The Abundance Book back in the early 1900s. And very mystical metaphysician who was a Christ in man, visited by angels, worked with his guides, and understood the laws around money. And we require money. We require oxygen. We require these two things. We require love. But money is love. Money is prosperity. And prosperity also looks different in different ways. It's not just money, but I know that many of us, and I just speak from my own life, I've pushed away money or I've had a bad relationship with it for many years of my life. And I've had intermittent struggles with it at times. And so I committed myself at the beginning of 2020 to dive into these 40 days and to finish these 40 days. And it shifted so much in my life, in our life, that I can attribute that these principles, these understandings, were a catalyst for great change in our life. And so I share it with you in the beginning of this year, knowing that 2020 was what it was for you at the relative level that it was for you. It was different for each of us, and it was a lot similar for many of us. And you know, those have been watching my page and watching where I am at, and you know, I have my awareness to something bigger and deeper. Something greater is emerging within all of us. Things can never go back to what they used to be, nor do we want them to. Something is happening. We're birthing a new earth. We're birthing a new way of being. We're birthing a new governance. We're birthing a new communion. We're awakening to something that is catalyzing something us to grow. And so, Spirit guided me to read a little bit before we go in today's number 7 affirmation. So, one of my favorite books is called Oneness by Rasha. It was one of the books that came along my journey early on in my awakening. And it was one of those living books, you read it and it just comes alive. And the source of God, the source of spirit, the source of love itself, the source of oneness, as Rasha calls it, moved and spoke to her. And I used to do a book study on this, and it was such a catalyst in my own life. But I asked God to show me how I can speak to what's happening in our planet today. Here on the day of Epiphany yesterday, our country went through they're calling it the dark day, a dark time. And it's always the darkest before it gets the brightest. We know that. I've known that. I've been saying that, been feeling that. No, these dark days, these dark moments, these dark nights of our soul, if we allow them, they will bring us to the rebirth of the new. And we have to surrender to creation. We have to surrender to something greater than what we may see or be aware. And so my invitation for you and I is to hold loosely to what you think you see. Hold loosely to what you're being programmed to see. And go deep within into the stillness, into the silence, where God is, where love is, where clarity is. Because our attention is being beckoned, and we're wanting to buy certain things. We're wanting to buy certain ideas, ideologies, philosophies. And take what I'm saying here as a grain of salt or a grain of sugar or a grain of whatever you choose, but take it within. But I'd like to lift ourselves, to that 100,000-foot view, the eagle-eye view. And I asked Spirit to guide me to something that I could read today. And this is what it showed up. It's in chapter 8 of the Oneness. So, Rasha writes here, in order to know experientially the state of fearlessness that comes of aligning with one's God self, can we look at the world, can we stand fearless? Fearless of what is going to happen or what we might think might happen. There's a really a trap for many Americans and some that aren't Americans, because what happens here affects everything. What happens in America affects the planet, no question. And that's not a proud statement, that's just the truth. Because there's something wanting to emerge in the I am nation, I am America, which is where that America actually came from. But we want to stand in a state of fearlessness, right? In order to know experientially the state of fearlessness that comes of aligning with one's God self, it's necessary to undergo what might be considered to be a series of initiations. These manifestations as experiences of one's fear of the state of disconnection are in fact illusory devices that you have created for yourself so that you might have the means of proving otherwise. So here we are, we're creating a state of disunity, of disconnection from each other, from our God, from the source of love itself. We are at a series, we are a state of initiation in the human race. God bless us all. Thank you so much, Creator, for allowing us to be here to birth something new. By consciously choosing in one's darkest hour to reject the vision of hopelessness that appears inevitable, Let me say it again. By consciously choosing in one's darkest hour to reject the vision of hopelessness that appears inevitable. If you're looking through your social media, that is the vision. There's a vision of hopelessness. There's a vision of so much despair and angst and anger of the disconnection that we're fearing and facing. But when we can consciously choose in this darkest hour to reject this vision and to choose instead the knowingness that the outcome will reflect your highest possible good, you open the doorway within to the place of loving trust that will lead you home. This blind leap in faith has been spoken of throughout time immemorial and is known by every culture throughout your planetary history. Yet most address this reference with an air of mockery in light of the very real seeming circumstances at hand. And maybe some of you watching this going, you're a whack-a-mole, Jason. Get real. You know, you might mock this and going, whatever. Get real, get practical. Let's deal with what's going on in front of us. We got to contend with this issue. And so what Great Spirit is saying, that there's something new, that your good is guaranteed. Your good, your life, you listener, you the one that's listening to this. You don't have to subscribe to the vision of hopelessness that's being programmed in the MSM right now. You have a choice to go within and know the truth, to know the very absolute truth, to take a blind leap of faith. What is called for is not bravery or heroism in that moment of truth, but total detachment. A level of surrender is called for that has released all attachment to an outcome. This level of surrender is achieved when one stands on the very edge of one's gravest fear and knows in that moment that there is nothing to fear. That's where I choose to stand today. That's where I do my best to stand every day. One of my early teachers, Dr. Wayne Dyer, said, if you knew who walked with you, fear would be impossible. And as I say often, I took it to a deeper level. If I knew not only who walked with me, but if I know who I am, fear would be impossible. We, individuals of we stand on the edge of glory. We stand on the edge of a new earth. We stand on the edge of something so revolutionary. And it's not going to be by heroism and bravery. Courage, for sure. And courage is facing the fear and knowing and looking at that fear in straight in its heart and going, I know what you are. And so let something pull us into our rebirth and let us know that we stand at the abyss. We stand on the brink of something so beautiful coming after the day of Epiphany, where the Christ is revealed, the baptism, the immersion. We're at a testing point, family, and I'm so grateful. And some will stay awake, and some will stay, they'll go back to sleep. And may we, that those of us that understand and can see through the miasma, can see through the samsara, can see through the illusions and the veils where they want to call us to forget, and subscribe. And so it's calling us to this amazing journey that we're just only beginning. And so there's this other part, if you can see, it's fully highlighted. I got to read this before we go into the affirmation, day 7. Here we go. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much for your presence here. When you permit yourself the luxury, I love that word, luxury. When you permit, and you got to permit yourself, no one's going to do something for you. It's going to happen through you, as you. But you, in your free will choice, have to open up to the luxury that's sitting here before you, open to reveal itself every moment. When you permit yourself the luxury of openly, unabashedly fantasizing about what you truly yearn for and dream of, you set into motion the energetic parameters for manifesting your heart's desire. Until you give free expression to the limitless vision you keep under wraps, you cannot, by definition, create it in your reality. When you operate your life from the mindset of unworthiness to have your heart's desire, when the thrust of your energy is not daring to ask for what you truly want out of fear of disappointment, that disappointment is virtually guaranteed. What do we want, family? What do we want? What do you want in your life? Peace, love, and happiness. It's Ringo. Peace, love, and happiness, brother. Right? A world that works for everyone. The children are liberated. The economy is distributed equally in a way that we all have access to what we require. And then truth, when I say that, it's like we all do. We've been told that we are limited, small beings, but we have access to something so great. And each one of us can harness and grab that golden ring and live a life of abundance and prosperity and luxury. Truly. Truly, truly. But we got to speak it. We got to be daring to claim it. Claim our abundant life. Claim our prosperous life. Speak it. Declare it. What is it you want? Not only for you, but for the good of the many. You know, when we ask for what I want, it's not to take away from you. Because I know when I ask for who I'm asking for these things in my life, I want these for you. I want you to be liberated in your finances. I want you to be liberated in being able to love and be loved in greater expression. I want you to have health that's radiant in this time of a pandemic. It can be so. It is so. When you were to envision yourself in circumstances where your deepest longings were made manifest without reservation, without compromise, you might begin to experience the radical shift in the circumstances of your life that would provide for you the very evidence that you do indeed create your life. I have learned in my life, when I understood this idea and these principles, that it is done unto me as I choose to believe and embody and as I choose to create. I am a creator. You are a creator. I am that I am. You are that I am. You are the creator. We are the co-creators of our unified experience. So let's take captive of our mind, let's take captive of our hearts and choose consciously what we want to create. And not get caught up in the laziness of the mind and the heart and creating unconsciously what we fear. Many of us are slaves to something that has just bought you and selling you outright. When you're just regurgitating this level of vibration that's sitting there, it's out here. It's like this, you're seeing these particles. You know, maybe over here you see a little bit of orange, red, magenta, and over here is a little green and blue. And your antenna, your mind antenna is picking up. It's picking up on whatever it is out there. There's messages of light. There's messages of fear. There's messages going out there in the noosphere. And what are we choosing to turn our dial to? As I always say, I like to turn my dial to 1111 and hear the light of truth, the light of God, the light of unity, the light of power, love, and wisdom. I'm a choice, you're a choice, what we choose to listen to. But if we understand we can experience something greater, but let's be daring. Were you to dare to relinquish the limitation-based thinking that keeps you anchored to the experience of disappointment in the areas that matter most to you? Were you to dare? Brother, sister, I dare you to relinquish the limitation that you say is so. Whether you say it out loud, whether you say it inside the chambers of your own heart. I am worthy, or do you say, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of abundance, I'm not worthy of success, I'm not worthy of friends that really mean something to me? And maybe you're not aware of the language you have deep inside your heart in the subconscious. But were you to dare to relinquish the limitation-based thinking that keeps you anchored to the experience of disappointment in the areas that matters most to you, you might just experience a glimpse of liberation from those patterns. And were you to take the blind leap needed to catapult yourself out of your energetic rut entirely, you might find yourself able to circumvent a good measure of the repetition of events that are the norm in this process. That blind leap is one that is not taken within the confines of your mind, but is sourced within the depths of your heart of hearts. It is here in the very core of your energetic being that the connection awaits you that will ultimately carry you the full distance. There's so much goodness in there. There's so much goodness in there. You know, I will put a reading I did of the 1111 book by Solara. It's called The Abyss. And here we stand at the abyss. Let's leap. Take that leap. Take that jump. Whatever that is for you. Let's trust love. Let's trust God. Let's trust that something good is coming. Even in the darkest hour that we stand here in our life. And maybe you're tuned out of this, and that's great. You don't need to tune into the media and the circus. You know, tune into what's going on in your world, because as Heather and I looked at ourselves today, we know that as we do the work that we do individually and as a union, we help collapse the stronghold of bondage and bound to something. We can bust through and have greater expressions of love, lay down our grievances, lay down those places, and come into unity, come into the unicorn kept showing up yesterday. Everywhere I looked, the unicorn. I'm like, why is the unicorn here? Okay? Now, that may be woo-woo to you, but I'm paying attention. The unicorn, the unified. Unity's calling. And so when we're standing there on the beautiful brink of something so amazing, of course we're going to have a test. Of course we're going to have a trial. But I speak and I believe that God's plan is being fulfilled. And so I offer this prayer. It's called the Great Invocation. I do daily, every day. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of humanity. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of humanity. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of humanity, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of humanity, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door wherein equity dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And so it is. That's a prayer. It's called the Great Invocation. Take it into your tool chest for your daily prayers if you choose. But here we're going to wrap it up with affirmation number 7. All right? And I'll have a meme and I'll have a little thing that we can do this, but take this in. And again, if you're just beginning this and you just go back to day 1. And the idea is just to give you don't have to do it this way, but the encouragement is we want to build a 40-day practice. And so if you happen to do 5 and you don't do 6, the idea is you're supposed to go back in and do 40 consistent days to reshape, to redesign, to realign your mind with the divine mind of prosperity consciousness. And ultimately what we've come to understand, it's more love. Money is love. And when we allow more love in our life, more love to expand our mental, emotional, physical, and etheric bodies, we receive. We're an open channel. And we're an open channel for the goodness, for the abundance of God. And so number 7 says this: the divine consciousness that I am is forever expressing its true nature of abundance. This is its responsibility, not mine. My only responsibility is to be aware of this truth. Therefore, I am totally confident in letting go and letting God appear as the abundant all-sufficiency in my life and my affairs. I'll do this one more time. Here's the affirmation. The divine consciousness that I am is forever expressing its true nature of abundance. This is its responsibility, not mine. My only responsibility is to be aware of this truth. Therefore, I am totally confident in letting go and letting God appear as the abundant all-sufficiency in my life and my affairs. Thank you for those of you that are here now. Thank you for being present. Thank you for being on planet Earth. Thank you for all that you do. Michelle Rose Daly out there in the land of Oz. Thank you. Thank you, beloved. I know that you're watching this right now. Thank you, Tammy Beckman Ross. You've been coming here consistently. And thank you, you who are choosing to watch this as you watch this. My intention is to inspire, to activate, to elevate something inside you that calls you to a liberated life. I only want liberation for you and for me. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm not here to convert you to anything. I'm not here to compare. Please don't compare yourself to me. Just harness the power inside you to live a liberated life. A life of love, power, and wisdom. And so that we may see this chaotic node that we're in as an opportunity, as a birth, as an invitation to not show up as a hero in bravery and fight against something. Let's surrender to something greater than what we're seeing and allow God's plan to be fulfilled as us, individually and collectively. I'm excited, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for this life. I'm so grateful for the reality of God in my life. I'm so grateful to know that I am not alone, that I am here with you, as Michael Jackson would sing. You are not alone. We are not alone. There are legions of light. There are legions of beings here waiting to come into your life, to rush to your aid right where you are, as you are equal to that. I'm just the messenger. They call messengers of love, what do they call them? Angels. Access your inner angel, family. And let's raise up our consciousness. The ascending time wave is here. Ride the wave. I send you my great love and gratitude for all that this time has been for you. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, day 8. Bye-bye.